Hi, welcome back, or welcome for the first time if you haven't seen my videos before. My name is Bryn. I am transgender and non-binary, and I make lots of videos about those topics. And today I wanted to talk about how I decided that I wanted to start hormones, which I started them almost 5 years ago. It was July 5th of 2016, so it's been a little while. If you have not been to my channel before, a little bit of background information about me. I was assigned male at birth and raised as a guy, so the hormones that I take are estrogen and testosterone blockers. If you're very new to hormones and all that kind of stuff, or trans stuff in general, estrogen is the hormone that people who are assigned female at birth naturally create, and the testosterone blockers, what that does, I think, is it makes you flush out your testosterone through your urine. I might be wrong, but basically it makes it so that the testosterone that your body creates is not affecting your body, which is like great because I do not want testosterone affecting my body. So, as I said, I was assigned male at birth, and I really wasn't introduced officially to non-binary people until I was probably like 21 or something. So I came out of the closet at 18 as a trans woman, and I have other videos where I talk about my struggle with that and like how I came to realize I was non-binary and all this kind of stuff. But I just want to put that out there because when I started hormones, I was out as a trans woman. So it's a little bit different of a story, but I did still struggle with whether I wanted to know whether I wanted to be on hormones or not, because there's a lot of layers actually to that, which I'm gonna get into. So, a little bit more background. Like I said, I came out when I was 18, and when I was almost 20 is when I started hormones. And when I came out at 18, I had been questioning my gender for about a year, and I ended up coming out mostly because I was like, I had told a lot of my friends, like, I kept slowly coming out to more and more people, and it didn't necessarily feel right, but I was like, one, I felt like I couldn't go back, because I was like, I already told these people, and second, like, being a guy didn't feel right, but it was very confusing because I now know that, like, I have these feelings where I feel very androgynous, and then I also have feelings where I feel feminine sometimes, and before I understood the whole androgyny thing, I would take those feelings of wanting to be androgynous and think that that was me wanting to be a boy. But it wasn't, because I didn't want a beard. I didn't want anything that resembled manhood or maleness or anything like that. But it wasn't femaleness either. I saw it as this third category, but in my brain, I didn't know it was a third category, so I lumped it in with men, basically. And so I went back and forth. I'm like, well, sometimes I feel like I could be a guy. I remember being really sad. Oh, I can't shop in the men's section anymore because I'm out as a trans woman. And I was like, why am I feeling sad that I can't shop in the men's section? Come to find out, it's because I'm non-binary. And to me, wearing men's clothes feels androgynous, not masculine. But anyway, so by the time I started hormones, I had been figuring out that I wasn't a guy for almost 3 years. Just like wow, that's a long time. Sometimes, like, I don't realize how long it's been. Like, I was 17 when I started questioning my gender. It was like a few months after I turned 17. And I'm almost 25. That's 8 years ago. That is, oh my god, okay. Well, I guess I'll start with why I didn't start hormones right away. And the reason that I didn't start hormones right away was because of a lot of internalized transphobia, and also because I didn't feel 100% confident in my gender. Like I couldn't say with certainty I'm a trans woman, because at this point I didn't know about non-binary really. And so I was like, well, I can't take hormones then to be a woman if I don't 100% agree with that, you know? And I was working at a grocery store, grocery outlet, bargain market, for those of you who know the place. It used to be called Amelia's, but then we got bought out. And So there, I was a cashier, and then I got promoted to head cashier, which is a mix of a cashier and a manager, basically. But anyways, I was interacting with people all the time. I was interacting with my employees, I was interacting with my bosses, I was interacting with my coworkers, I was interacting with customers, and a lot of the customers were older too. And I was getting misgendered all the time. And I was trying to grow out my hair. At this point, I was in beauty school. So I was working like at night because I would have beauty school during the day. And it was like, I don't know, it was frustrating because I felt really uncomfortable being perceived as a guy. Even though I was still confused about what my gender was, the whole idea of being perceived as a guy felt really off, and I didn't like it, and I didn't want to be perceived that way. And I was getting misgendered all the time. My voice was very deep. Like, it's not really that high now, but I think with my face like this and like the way that I dress, I think it comes across more androgynous rather than masculine. Hopefully. I was getting misgendered all the time by customers, and especially because the customers tended to be older people. They were also very into like, hello sir, how are you doing today? Whereas like younger people don't really do that, but because all these customers were older, I was getting called sir like 80 times a day, and it was so frustrating. I don't think I ever had any like specifically transphobic encounters, or if I did, I can't even remember, so that's good. It didn't traumatize me that much. But it was just like the everyday being called he, and it was like, I don't know, it was frustrating. And I was really, really tired of it. And my hair, I mean, my hair was shorter than it was now. It was probably like to here, because I was growing it out from a regular like boys cut, so it wasn't like long and luscious. And not to mention, I was in beauty school, so I made the terrible decision of trying to bleach my hair. I think it was 5 times with like 40 volume developer, which if you know anything about hair, that's like the worst thing you can do. So I made my hair platinum blonde, which then washed out my face, and my hair was so disgustingly dry that like I couldn't even have it down, and I was like trimming it, and like it was just, I couldn't grow it out because it was so bad, and like I felt really stuck. And I was living with my mom, which if you've seen any of my other videos, not a great time in my life. She's not trans friendly at all. So I was getting misgendered at home. I was also the living situation was horrible. I'm not even getting into it, but the living situation was horrible. But I was living at home, being misgendered all the time. I was being misgendered at work. At school, it was okay, but it was also really awkward because we would have a new class start every other month, and it was assumed that I was a trans woman because I wasn't on hormones and stuff like that. So like the first day of the class, like people would be misgendering me, and then we'd have to tell them, oh no, Bryn's trans, and then they'd be like, oh okay, she, which was good, but like it was like I had to come out every other month to like tell these people. Ugh. It was just like frustrating. And my life was like, it wasn't like falling apart, but my life wasn't great, and I decided to make some changes. And then it just felt right to do hormones, or take hormones. Because, to be quite honest, I was not sure that I wanted to take hormones. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily a good way to go about it, but I do want to be authentic with my experience, because I feel like when I hear other people saying, oh, I'm going on hormones, or whatever, or I'm getting surgery, or like whatever, anything regarded to being trans, my assumption is like, oh, okay, they figured it out and this is what they want. And like, that's it. And with me, I didn't feel that way until I was on hormones for, like, not until recently. Well, I'll get to that. But it wasn't like that easy for me, and it was kind of taking a risk, I guess. I remember, to be honest, I knew I was tired of being seen as a guy. The dysphoria that I had was mostly social dysphoria. I didn't have a lot of dysphoria over my body, or I did, but I didn't label it that way. It wasn't like I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh, I'm a man, or like anything like that. It was just kind of like, like off. But like I didn't know that that was because I was trans. Because the thing is, like, I didn't look at stereotypical women and think, I wish I looked like that. Like, that made me uncomfortable too. And I felt stuck, and I felt confused, and I felt like trapped, like, so I'm either gonna be this, and I don't like that, or I'm gonna be this, and I don't like that. And it took me a really long time to realize that I can be androgynous. That's a huge thing for me. I don't know, that's a very big part of my identity is androgyny, and I'm really happy that I was able to get there, but I didn't know that that's what I wanted. And I just knew that I was so tired of being considered a guy, and I was just so tired of it. And I was like, this isn't working. Like, like I've been out now for 2 years, and literally nobody thinks I'm anything but a guy unless I tell them, and this is so frustrating, and I'm so tired of it. I reached out to a therapist that helps trans people, and basically the first session she was like, so you want to be on hormones because you're a girl? And I was like, yep. And then I signed all the like, she went through everything, like, this is what's gonna happen, these are the permanent effects of hormones, this and that, blah, 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 and I signed it, and then I got started hormones like a month or two later. And I remember feeling scared, like, really scared. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm doing this and I'm so happy because I'm finally doing this. It was like, what if this is, like, my thought, what if I hate this too? What if this? What if this? And I posted a video a little bit ago about being raised as a Christian, but that played a lot into my transition as well, because I had a lot of internalized transphobia because of that. And so then it was also like, because I wasn't sure of being a woman, I was like, what if that's because, like, I'm secretly evil and all this, like, stuff that, like, comes along with religion, and, like, I had a lot of doubt in myself, but I still felt like I need to do this. And I was like, I would get so overwhelmed by the future. What if? And I was like, but what about right now? And I was like, I need this right now. Like, this is what I want right now. And so I did it. And that was basically, that was it. And to be completely honest, I remember the first thing that I noticed was chest development. And I remember panicking, like this feeling of like, I can never go back. And it was like so terrifying, but I was like, no, but I still need to do this. Like, I still need to do this. And I did it, and I'm actually happy with the way my chest turned out. It's like not big at all. Like, you literally can't even tell, but like they're there, which I like. I like that they're there, but they're not there, you know? And I bind a lot, not in the summer. Oh my God, not in the summer. You know, throughout the winter and stuff, like if I want a flat chest, I'll bind, and it's super simple. It's like perfect. It's like, it's perfect. And I mean, there may be a day where I end up getting top surgery. I did talk about that a while ago, but I'm definitely not ready to commit to that. But I have thought about the possibility of like top surgery as in getting them removed. But I don't know that I actually want that, which I could make a whole video on that if anybody's interested, but don't really feel like getting into it right now. So that's my experience in taking hormones or whatever. That door has been open the whole time. That looks so unprofessional. As if I'm a professional. I'm literally filming on my phone. This is not a professional thing. Hold on. Much better for like the last 5 minutes of the video. I guess, I don't know that I have necessarily advice, but I think I just kind of want to reassure people that like, just because somebody's starting on hormones doesn't mean they have everything figured out. And I think I felt really alone when this was going on. I was like, well, I can't tell people that I'm scared, because one of the things as I mentioned in my Christianity video, I felt like if I had any doubt at all that people wouldn't take me seriously, and that I had to work very hard to prove to people that I wasn't a guy. To do that, I had to be a woman, essentially, I guess. And that's something that I have learned to let go of, and that I can dress however I want, and like my starting point doesn't need to affect where I am now. That like, just because I was assigned male at birth and I prefer to wear men's clothes, that doesn't mean that I'm a man, and it doesn't mean that, and just because somebody might look at me and say, well, isn't that the same as being a man, they're just wrong, and that's on them, and it's not my problem. And it's definitely much easier for me to say that now because I have a lot of people who support me, like literally basically everyone in my life, everyone at my job, everyone of my family members that I still talk to for the most part, and my friends, and all that kind of stuff. Like, so it is easy for me to say it's not my problem. I know that sometimes it's not that easy because you have these external influences that are affecting your life because they don't respect you, or they don't see you as you see you, and you do sort of have to prove to them a certain thing. Like, I'm fortunate that I don't have to prove my gender to people, and that they just respect me naturally, I guess. For the most part, you know, there's always one random person that just decides to like ruin my day, but for the most part, I can just do whatever I want and people will respect me. And I think that that's a lot of that is truly like luck, but I will say a lot of that is also me learning how to filter out people who don't respect me, which is a very hard thing to do, or can be a very hard thing to do, which I can make a whole video on that too. But I think I wanted to share this because it can be a really like intense thing to start. Like, hormones are a very, not in every way, but they're a permanent thing. Like, this chest growth, if I stop taking hormones, it might go down a little bit because of fat redistribution, but like, it's not gonna go away. And so like, that is a permanent, long-lasting effect of the decision that I made. And so like, yeah, you don't want to take the decision lightly, but I do want to let you know that just because you're scared, or maybe scared, or terrified, or whatever feeling you're feeling, it doesn't mean that it's the wrong decision. And I think this narrative that I see a lot on YouTube, just in general, in the media, is like, oh, this person knew that they were a boy or a girl from the time that they were little, and that's all they dreamed about their entire life, and so then they started hormones, and then they got surgery, and then they were who that they wanted to be. And like, that's most of the narratives that I see are that. And I don't see many people who are like, I really struggled with this and it was so scary and I doubted myself and like all this kind of stuff, because I think that people who already don't respect trans people will use those things to tell you why you should not be taken seriously. And I think that that's really messed up, but it is what happens. And so I think a lot of the times, I think in general, people just don't like to share their struggles, but I think specifically with being trans and stuff, I think that that's a big part of it. And I try to be as authentic as I can, and because like, what's the purpose of me sitting here and being like, I had everything figured out when I didn't? That doesn't help anybody. It's okay to not have things figured out. It's okay to be out of the closet for like years and go back and forth on whether you want hormones, whether you want surgery, whatever. Like, even with me with bottom surgery, I have felt uncomfortable with the genitals that I was given at birth since I can remember. But I didn't come to the conclusion that I was like 100% sure that I wanted bottom surgery until a few years ago. And like, and like a lot of that was because of like internalized transphobia and stuff like that. But I think that it's important to say that, because the narrative that is like generally spoken of is like, these people know this, these people have figured it out and they have their stuff together and they just know what they want. And so if you don't know what you want, then you're not really trans, or you don't really want it. But like, you can want something and not know that you want it. And I think for me, I feel like hopefully I word this right. I feel like my body had to become me before I could see me as me, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like my face, my body, my hair, all this stuff had to be who I am before I could really start feeling like that was me. And it was like my, hold on, I'm trying to think. This is kind of a weird way to say it, but like, my body created the opportunity for me to feel this way. And I already felt that way, but I didn't, like, I viewed myself a certain way as, like, internally, but I never knew that I really could be that way. And it wasn't like I looked at myself in the mirror and was like, I wish I was more androgynous. It was like, I just feel off. I don't feel like myself. And then I realized, as I became more androgynous, oh, I can be androgynous. It wasn't like, oh, I can be this, let's do that. It was like, I'm doing it, and now I realize I can be it. And I think that that's like, I think that that's probably relatively common for a lot of trans people, even people who aren't non-binary, like people who are trans men or trans women. Like, I feel like that's a relatively common experience. I've heard other people talk about it, but not a lot. And especially the stuff that's like in mainstream media and like the trans character on TV, like, I feel like most of the time it's like they already know who they are and now they're just trying to match their body to that. But I feel like mine kind of was flipped. So I wanted to share that in case anybody's like struggling with that, because it's a hard thing to go through, and there's not a lot of like information, and like I said, there's not a lot of people who are authentic about like, I struggled with this, I doubted myself. No one wants to say, whether it's about being trans or not, no one wants to say I doubted myself, because that's just like a reason for people to not believe you, or to think that you're making this up, or that you just secretly convinced yourself things were okay when they weren't, or like whatever. But I'm okay saying I really doubted myself. I really was confused and lost, and I didn't have a destination. And I slowly came to my destination, but it wasn't like I saw it and I was like, these are the steps I need to take to get there. It was like, I know I need to take certain steps, but I don't know where I'm going. And I'm really glad I did it. So just wanted to put that out there. But I hope you all have a wonderful day. It's so hot outside today, oh my god. But luckily, I'm inside with the air conditioning. Alright, have a nice day. Bye.